The emergency beacon screamed through the void of space, its desperate signal carrying the final moments of New Eden colony. Commander Sarah Chin's hands trembled as she watched the holographic display flicker to life in the command center of the UES Retribution. Please, anyone. They came without warning, The voice belonged to Dr. Marcus Webb, the colony's chief administrator. His face was bloodied, his eyes wide with terror. Behind him, flames danced through the observation windows of the research. Station the children. Oh God, the children. The transmission cut to static, then silence. Sarah's jaw clenched as she stared at the empty display. New Eden had been home to 12,000 souls, scientists, engineers, families who had traveled 8 light-years from Earth to build humanity's first deep space research colony. They had been studying the rare quantum crystals found in the system's asteroid belt, crystals that could revolutionize faster-than-light travel. Now they were all dead. Commander Lieutenant Torres spoke from behind her, his voice barely above. A whisper. The long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures. Whatever did this, they're still in the system. Sarah turned to face her crew. The bridge of the Retribution was state-of-the-art, equipped with humanity's most advanced technology. But as she looked at the faces of her officers, she saw the same thing reflected in their eyes that she felt in her heart. Fear, raw, primal. Fear, signaled the fleet, she commanded, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. All ships, prepare for quantum jump. We're going in. The tactical display showed the full might of humanity's response. 700,000 warships, from massive dreadnoughts to nimble fighters, had assembled in less than 72 hours. The largest military force humanity had ever mustered. They called it the Vengeance Fleet. But as Sarah watched the swirling vortex of quantum space open before them, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to face something far beyond their understanding, something that had just declared war on the human race. Chapter 2. First contact. The Vengeance Fleet dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the New Eden system, like a plague of metallic locusts. 700,000 ships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the cold light of distant stars. Admiral Jackson Hayes stood on the bridge of the flagship U.S. Sovereign, watching the tactical display with grim satisfaction. At 63, he was humanity's most decorated military commander, a man who had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. First contact with a hostile alien species. Sir, called out Chief Analyst Dr. Rebecca Martinez from her station. I'm reading massive debris fields in the inner system. The colony's infrastructure has been completely destroyed. Hayes nodded grimly. Any sign of the attackers? Negative, sir. But... Martinez paused, her brow furrowing as she studied her readings. Admiral, I'm detecting something unusual. The quantum signatures suggest the attackers used some form of dimensional warfare. They didn't just destroy the colony, they erased it from multiple layers of reality. The bridge fell silent. Dimensional warfare was purely theoretical, discussed only in the most classified scientific circles. The idea that an alien race had mastered such technology sent chills down every spine present. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez called out. From the communications station, we're receiving a transmission. It's not from any of our ships. Hayes' expression hardened on screen. The main display flickered, then resolved into an image that made several officers gasp. The being that appeared was tall and elegant, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Its eyes were large and completely black, like pools of liquid space. When it spoke, its voice was melodic, almost hypnotic. I am Zarathal, voice of the Kethmori Collective. You have entered territory that belongs to us. Your species has been judged and found... inferior. Hayes stepped forward, his military bearing unwavering despite the aliens' intimidating presence. I am Admiral Hayes of the United Earth Space Force. You have attacked and destroyed a peaceful human colony. By any measure of galactic law, that is an act of war. Zarotho's expression didn't change, but something like amusement flickered in those black eyes. Galactic law. Your species has existed for mere thousands of years. The Kethmori have ruled this galaxy for over 1,000,000. We are the law. Then your law is about to change, Hayes replied coldly. Surrender now, and we might show mercy. The alien's laugh was like crystalline bells breaking. Mercy? From a species that hasn't even mastered dimensional physics? You amuse me, Admiral. But your entertainment value has limits. The transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Hayes turned to his tactical officer. Commander Park, what's our status? All ships report ready, sir. But Admiral... Park hesitated. Our long-range sensors are picking up something massive approaching from the outer system. Whatever it is, it's the size of a small moon. Hayes closed his eyes briefly, then opened them with renewed determination. Signal all ships. It's battle stations. It's time to show these aliens what humanity is capable of. But even as he gave the order, Hayes couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to face something that would test every limit of human courage and ingenuity. Chapter 3. The Test of Fire, the Kethmori Mothership. Emerged from the shadows of the system's gas giant like a nightmare made manifest. It was a massive crystalline structure, its surface covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift and writhe in the starlight. Energy cascaded along its hull in waves of purple and gold, creating an almost hypnotic display, Commander Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the Retribution as the alien vessel approached. Her ship was part of the advance guard, positioned between the main fleet and the approaching threat. Quantum crystals they had recovered from other systems powered their weapons, but she wondered if it would be enough. Ma'am, Lieutenant Torres called out, his voice tight with tension. The mothership is launching smaller vessels. Count as ... Dear God, there must be thousands of them. Sarah studied the tactical display. The Kethmori fighters were unlike anything. In human military doctrine, they moved through space like living things. Their organic curves and flowing movement patterns more reminiscent of deep-sea creatures than spacecraft. All ships, spread formation, she ordered. Prepare for engagement. First wave of alien fighters swept through the human formation like a scythe through wheat. Their weapons fired beams of pure energy that seemed to tear holes in reality itself. Where they struck, human ships didn't just explode, they simply ceased to exist, erased from space as if they had never been there. Jesus Christ, Torres whispered, as the destroyer U.S. Courage vanished in a flash of purple light. They're not just destroying our ships, they're deleting them. Sarah gritted her teeth. All batteries concentrate fire on the lead fighters. Show them what our quantum cannons can do. The Retribution's main guns spoke with voices of thunder, sending streams of crystalline energy toward the alien vessels. When the quantum-enhanced projectiles struck, the results were devastating. The first Kethmori fighter to be hit shattered like glass, its exotic matter hull unable to withstand the chaotic energy. Direct hit, Torres shouted. Their shields can't handle quantum disruption. Sarah felt a moment of hope, but it was short-lived. For every alien fighter they destroyed, 2 more took its place. The Kethmori seemed to have an endless supply of vessels, and their tactics were becoming more sophisticated with each passing moment. Ma'am, the communications officer called out. Admiral Hayes is requesting all ships to fall back to defensive positions. He's preparing to implement the Prometheus Protocol. Sarah's blood ran cold. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's ultimate weapon, a theoretical technique that would convert an entire star system's energy into a single, devastating attack. It had never been tested on this scale, and the risks were enormous, acknowledged. She replied, all ships prepare for quantum withdrawal. But as the human fleet began to pull back, the Kethmori mothership suddenly accelerated. Its massive form began to glow with an inner light, and space itself seemed to warp around it. Commander Torres shouted, they're charging some kind of planet-killer weapon. If they fire that thing at Earth... Sarah's mind raced. The fleet was still forming up for the Prometheus Protocol, but they needed more time. Someone had to buy them that time, even if it meant making the ultimate sacrifice. All ships. This is Commander Chen, she announced on the fleet-wide channel. The Retribution is making a direct assault on the mothership. We're going to give them something to think about. She turned to her crew, seeing the fear and determination in their eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor serving with you. Torres, plot a collision course with that mothership. Maximum acceleration. Ma'am, Torres replied, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were about to do. Course laid in. All hands prepare for ramming speed. Retribution. Turn toward the massive alien vessel, its engines burning at full power. Behind them, the rest of the human fleet watched in silence as one small ship raced toward almost certain destruction. But sometimes, Sarah thought, the smallest acts of courage can change the course of history. Chapter 4. The Prometheus Gambit. The Retribution screamed through space toward the Kethmori mothership, its hull groaning under the stress of maximum acceleration. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her hands gripping the tactical console as she watched their target grow larger on the main screen. 30 seconds to impact, Lieutenant Torres announced, his voice remarkably calm given their circumstances. All quantum torpedoes armed and ready. Sarah nodded grimly. Ow. The plan was desperate but brilliant. Instead of simply ramming the mothership, they would detonate their entire quantum arsenal at the moment of impact, creating a localized space-time disruption that would hopefully cripple the alien vessel's dimensional weapons. Commander, the communications officer called out, Admiral Hayes is on the line. Sarah accepted the transmission. Hayes' weathered face appeared on her screen, his expression a mixture of pride and sorrow. Sarah, what you're doing? It's going to save us all. Prometheus protocol is charging, but we need 90 more seconds to reach full power. You'll have it, sir, Sarah replied. Just make sure this counts. Behind the Retribution, the entire human fleet had formed into a massive geometric pattern. Their ship's quantum drives synchronized to create a single devastating weapon. The Prometheus protocol would channel the energy of 700,000 ships into a beam capable of cracking planets. 15 seconds to impact, Torres announced. The mothership is launching everything it has at us. It's the space around the Retribution filled with deadly energy beams and exotic matter projectiles. Their shields flared and sparked as they absorbed hit after hit, but the small ship continued its desperate charge. Ma'am, the tactical officer called out, their point defense systems are targeting our quantum torpedoes. Clean detonation. Sarah's mind raced. They needed to get close enough to the mothership to ensure the quantum disruption would work. But every second they delayed increased the risk of being destroyed before they could complete their mission. All hands, prepare for emergency decompression, she ordered. We're going to punch through their hull. The Retribution's armor began to glow white-hot as it absorbed the alien weapons fire. Sections of the outer hull peeled away like flower petals, but the ship's core remained intact. Sarah watched the countdown timer on her display, knowing that their success or failure would be measured in microseconds. 5 seconds to impact, Torres announced. It's been an honor, Commander. Sarah closed her eyes, thinking of the 12,000 souls of New Eden Colony, of the billions of humans back on Earth counting on them to succeed. When she opened them again, her voice was steady and clear. For humanity, she said softly. The Retribution struck the Kethmori mothership at 17% of light speed, quantum torpedoes detonating in a cascade of dimensional energy. The explosion was unlike anything the universe had ever seen, a perfect sphere of pure chaos that warped space and time around it. When the light faded, the alien mothership was crippled, its elegant crystalline hull cracked and bleeding exotic matter into space. But more importantly, its dimensional weapons were offline, leaving it vulnerable to conventional attack. Now, Admiral Hayes shouted from the bridge of the Sovereign, all ships, fire. The Prometheus protocol activated with the fury of a newborn star. 700,000 ships discharged their quantum drives simultaneously, creating a beam of pure energy that lanced across space toward the wounded mothership. The Kethmori vessel tried to maneuver, but it was too late. The beam struck at center mass, and the alien ship simply vaporized. its exotic matter hull unable to withstand the concentrated power of humanity's entire fleet. As the afterglow of the explosion faded, Admiral Hayes stood in stunned silence. They had done it. They had defeated the Kethmori, avenged New Eden colony, and proven that humanity deserved its place among the stars. But their victory had come at a terrible cost. The Retribution and its crew were gone, along with dozens of other ships that had sacrificed themselves to make the final assault possible. Sir Dr. Martinez called out from her station, "I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures throughout. The system, the Kethmori, weren't alone. There are other alien vessels hiding in dimensional space, and they're all powering up their weapons." Hayes felt his heart sink. The mothership had been just the beginning. The real Kethmori fleet was still out there, waiting in the shadows between dimensions. "All ships, prepare for dimensional warfare," he ordered. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them we're going to need every ship they can send." As the human fleet prepared for the next phase of what would become known as the Dimensional War, Hayes couldn't help but think of Commander Chen's final words. For humanity, indeed. But the real test was just beginning. / Epilogue. The New Dawn, 6 months after the Battle of New Eden. Admiral Jackson Hayes stood in his office aboard the UES Sovereign, now permanently stationed at the edge of human space. Through the observation windows, he could see the construction of humanity's newest and most ambitious project, the Dimensional Defense Network. The war with the Kethmori had fundamentally changed humanity's understanding of the universe. They had learned that space existed in multiple layers, that entire civilizations could hide in dimensions parallel to their own, and that the galaxy was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. But they had also learned something else. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their willingness to sacrifice everything for each other and for the future of their species. Sir Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez called out from the communications. "Station, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. The new quantum drives are ready for deployment." Hayes nodded. The quantum drives were based on technology reverse-engineered from the Kethmori wreckage, combined with human ingenuity and the quantum crystals that had started this whole conflict. They would allow human ships to fight on equal terms in dimensional space, sir, Rodriguez continued. There's something else. The scientists at the New Geneva Institute have been analyzing the Kethmori data cores. They think they've found something significant. Hayes turned from the window. What kind of significant? They believe the Kethmori weren't the apex predators of the galaxy. Something else out there. Something that even they were afraid of. The data suggests there's an entire hierarchy of dimensional beings, and humanity just fought the equivalent of a minor noble house. Hayes felt a chill run down his spine. If the Kethmori had been just a minor power, what did that mean for humanity's future? There's more, Sir Rodriguez added. We're detecting quantum signatures from other star systems. It appears we're not the only species that's been attacked recently. The Kethmori campaign against us might have been part of something much larger. Hayes walked to his desk and activated the holographic display. The galaxy spread out before him, a swirling mass of stars and possibilities. Somewhere out there, other species were fighting for their survival against enemies they couldn't fully understand. Rodriguez, send a message to Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them we're going to need more than 700,000 ships. We're going to need every human being willing to stand up and fight. As the lieutenant commander carried out his orders, he's thought about Commander Sarah Chen and the crew of the Retribution. Their sacrifice had saved humanity from the first wave of dimensional attacks. But it had also revealed the true scope of the threat they faced. The universe was vast and full of wonders. But it was also full of dangers that humanity was only beginning to understand. The dimensional war was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. But as Hayes looked out at the construction ships building humanity's new defenses, he felt a spark of hope. They had survived first contact with a hostile alien species. They had proven that human courage and ingenuity could overcome seemingly impossible odds, and most importantly, they had shown the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the dark. The stars belonged to whoever was strong enough to claim them. and humanity intended to claim their share. War for the future of the human race had begun, and there would be no surrender.